Hey viewers, my name's Cara. It's the 28th day of Vlog Every Day in April, and the thought of the day is this. If people could stop confusing misandry with feminism, that'd be great. And if we could stop letting misandrists call themselves feminists, that would help. Why has this come up? Well, because it's something that is permeating our culture right now, and that every time I mention anything related to feminism, there is one person, pretty sure it's just one person, it's only been one person so far, who takes extreme offense at it and tries to tell me all about how feminism is awful and feminism means that I'm sexist against men, yada yada yada. No matter how many times I try to explain that no matter how much the extremists call themselves feminists but truly are just exemplifying misandry, no matter how many times I say feminism is about equality and gaining equal status for women and raising women up to an equal status, not about raising them above, not about keeping them below, raising them up to just be equal, and then at that point, working on equality between the two sexes and all of the other genders besides, no matter how many times I say hating men is not what feminism is, feminism is the reason that women can vote and own property and enter into contracts, things like that, no matter how many times I say those things. Certain people do not believe it and just believe that feminism is misandry. And it's not. But that's what it's becoming because we allow people to use that term for it when that's not what it is. I had a really good conversation with one of my friends about this last night, and this is a male, cis male friend of mine, heterosexual cis male friend of mine, who usually disagrees with me about things like this, but never does it in a mean or hateful way. Like, we constantly have conversations about things that we are on opposite but not opposing sides of, and we can talk about it and we talk about our different views and like, well, this is how I see it, right, but this is how I see it, right, and so like we understand each other's views, and it's never a negative conversation, it's never like insulting each other, it's just like, hey, we see things differently. And all of the points that he was making about how, of course, some people are uncomfortable with the word feminism because it implies feminine, and so a lot of men don't want to identify as feminist because it sounds like something that only women should be for, even though it's not. I get that's what it sounds like. And one of my friends in the past has talked about how he feels that because it's an ism, that it is about the feminine becoming superior, and so that's why he doesn't like the word, because he thinks it sounds like we're trying to raise women up to be above men and create more of a matriarchal society than a patriarchal society, which of course is going to be just as bad, because imbalance is imbalance no matter who's on top. That's not what she said. So I had heard all of those things before, and we also talked about how a lot of people just prefer the word egalitarian, because what we really want is equality for all genders, not just the two binary genders, but all genders and any genders. And so egalitarian is a word that makes much more sense to us and doesn't feel as polarizing. I get that. I totally do. And I am very much in favor of things evolving with the times. You know, I'm a modern pagan practitioner, a neo-pagan, if you will, so that kind of comes with the territory. But I'm also, my viewers will know this about me, I am also not a fan of changing terminology simply because the majority of people are incapable of using a term correctly, in so much that it becomes so negative that everyone wants to disassociate from the term, so they say, oh, I don't want to be that, so they come up with a different word that means the same thing that just sounds less dirty. And feminism is becoming a dirty word because of all these people who are misandrists, who hate men, or who think that women should be superior, or whatever the case may be. Those were all kind of just synonyms, you know, whatever it is. These really negative things, or people who are just focusing on specific issues and calling it feminism, even though it's part of feminism, but that's not all what it is. Like people who only focus on, no, I'm not even going to give specific examples because I do believe that it's all involved, but focusing too much on one thing and saying like that's all it is, it's really polarizing, and I get that. So those people are this way and call themselves feminists, and then everyone else thinks, oh my god, that's what a feminist is, I don't want to be that. I believe in what real feminism, originally what the movement of feminism was for, but I don't like that word anymore because it's become so horrible and that's not what I want to identify with, so I'm going to call myself something else, whether it be pro-feminist or egalitarian or whatever it is. We come up with different words that make us feel better about the same ideas. And I get it, it makes sense to me, but I don't like it because I feel like the same as I feel about the word pagan and the word witch. When people say to me, why don't you just use another word that doesn't have as negative of a connotation to it? Why don't you just pick another word that means the same thing, but that doesn't make people cringe when you say it around them? To which I say, how about we teach people what this word really means and stop letting people use it incorrectly in a negative way? I'm all about the education here, folks. So pagan was the same thing. Originally, it was not that horrible of a word, and then it was used to be really insulting, and now we use it again in its close to its original form. Obviously in a modernized way, but knowing the history that it came through and using it in a positive light. Witch is the same thing. A lot of people, even today, still think that witches are these horrible, nasty, evil, dark, I'm using their stereotypes here, I'm not equating all of these things together, but this is how people think, bad, negative, wrong thing, and in fact we know it's not, and it wasn't originally, and then we've brought it through again to the good side of things again. And when I started identifying as a witch, my mom even said that exact thing. Well, I agree with the beliefs, and I agree with what you believe, and I don't think that what you believe in is that wrong, but I don't like you using the word witch because people have such a negative connotation to it. Can't you just not use that word? And I said, no, I'm going to teach people what it really means and that it's not a bad thing. So that's why I continue to call myself a feminist, even though I am also an egalitarian, the way that people use that word. That's what I am, and I consider that a traditional or original feminist. If you read about the history of feminism, it talks about how that's what the movement was for. It was because, and this is what I told my friend when he said, well, why is it called feminism anyway? If it's about equality, why does it have the feminine prefix to it or root to it? And it's because there was this imbalance and the feminine had to be raised up to attain equal status. That's why it's for women. It's the empowering of women to gain that status. And as I was talking to my friend about last night, I totally think that when that is actually achieved, if that is actually ever achieved, then we can start talking about just maintaining the balance. And there is, don't get me wrong, there is some of this going on where the masculine is being pushed down, and that's because of all of those people who are using it in an extreme negative sense, and that's not good either. It's really not. That's not what I want either. This and this, they're equally unequal, if you know what I'm saying. So this is what we want, and we don't want to be equal. This, again, goes back to like a really old video that I made about equality. I guess it's not really old, like a few years old, a handful of years old, where I talked about the short story Harrison Bergeron and a Fairly Odd Parents episode. I referenced all those things about basically we don't want to be equal, as in we don't want to be the same, we just want to be treated the same despite or in acknowledgement of our differences. Because of course we are different. We're all different. Every person is different. None of us are exactly the same. But we should still be treated the same. There should be no reason to treat people unequally under the law or even just how we treat each other as human beings. There should be no difference. I know that's not how the world is, okay? I just want it to be. I want it to be better. I want it to be better for everyone. And so I understand why some people like different words and whatever, but it really does bother me that so many people just use words incorrectly and no one corrects them, and instead we just walk away like, okay, fine, take that word and make it bad and we'll just come up with a new word. It just bothers me. That's how we end up with so many different labels that mean the same thing, that make us think that we disagree with each other even if we don't. And you've probably seen those things online that are pictures of men or people who appear to be men physically holding up signs that say, I need feminism because. And there are women who have the same thing, I need feminism because. Well, when I was looking that up yesterday, I found a bunch of images that were of females, or apparent females, with signs that said, I don't need feminism because. And it really was bothering me because most of the reasons that were displayed on these signs were things that I don't know how they even relate to feminism, or they were obviously talking about the extremist, negative, misandrist kind of thing that some people are calling feminism, which it isn't. So it just made me sad because there's all these girls, and they were girls, they weren't, most of them appeared to be pretty young, talking about how I don't need feminism because I want boys to like me. I don't need feminism because I think for myself. I don't need feminism because I believe in equality, not entitlement and supremacy. I don't need feminism because I like when men compliment my body. All of these things are issues that say a lot about that person and what they feel are important issues in their life, and also how they have bought into the way that people are sullying the name of feminism. And I'm just really, really tired of hearing about it every time I post anything related to feminism. Somebody getting on my case telling me that it means I hate men. I don't. Empowering women does not necessitate disempowering men. And I wish more people could understand that. And I wish that people who didn't would stop calling themselves feminists, because it's making it really difficult. So that's my 2 cents. And you know what? I'm starting to feel like, yes, this was another part of that message that I've been receiving, that I'm supposed to be sharing these things, because once again, here I am talking about a thing that I don't like talking about because it's such a hot button issue, and I know that people are going to disagree. And again, that's fine. Do so respectfully. My friend and I had a great conversation last night where we basically thought completely different things, but understood each other's points of view and talked about what really mattered to each of us, and said goodnight. And it was a good conversation, and that was it. And if we could all have those conversations, I think the world would just be that much better, and we'd all have that much more positive experience in our day, and we'd all go about the day feeling better about ourselves. And who doesn't want that? So that's my video for the day. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye.